Let's get into it then. Super League round 21 analysis. First game Thursday. We labelled it as the wooden spoon game. Huddersfield Giants 22, Hull FC 16. The Giants just pipping Hull. Poor defence from both sides. It was 10-6 at half time. Litton bagged 2 tries for the Hull FC side. Connor Wrench was my man of match. I think he's been very good for them in the past few weeks. What now for Hull FC? What now?
Well, let's hope Huddersfield don't win 2 games and Hull don't win and Hull don't win any. For them to not finish bottom of the table will be an achievement now. The 2 points behind, but the healthy points difference means probably the 3 points in front rather than, or 4 points in front with another game. So 94 missed tackles in the game.
Yeah, crazy stat.
When we talked earlier about West Tigers and Parramatta Eels with the errors that was made in that game, we're talking 94 missed tackles. That's not Super League standard either.
No, it's not.
Yeah, but I thought Hull FC would go there and win at the beginning of the week, and then I looked at some of the team selection and other things around the club and noises again coming out of the club about SASA and illness. And what has happened with all of that, and I just felt that Huddersfield would win. I tipped them by 10 in the end with the competition I'm in. I changed my mind on it.
The SASA stuff, was that during the captain's run as well? Captain's run.
He called in sick for captain's run, yeah. So I'm not sure whether he was playing or not, or whether he's 18th man or not. The problem with Hull is it's rife for rumours. He was seen at the gym by a friend of mine on Saturday, so it's some kind of recovery that he's had with the medicines he's on, or whether it's not. I don't know. Again, Dan, I'd just rather the team go out and perform and play and talk the talk rather than walk the walk. And whatever's happening at the club, something needs to be gotten a grip of.
Yeah. I know you're sick of talking about them. That's why I thought we'd get them out the way first.
It's tough because you get I said this yesterday on the Back 10 podcast. You get called a bitter ex-player, and I'm not. Honestly. No. I hope the club win grand final after grand final, and they play Hull KR in every final where I spent the majority of my career. But I aren't too bothered if not. You know, with all due respect, the game's more important to me than any one club. And I'd rather talk about what's happening at the top of the table, the top 3 being which position, and the 6 and who's going to go where, and having an exciting end to the season. But ultimately, when I look at, I did Bradford and Hull KR and Bradford on Friday night. I see so much more in Bradford Bulls team and players than I do at Hull FC. And that's sad because they're spending much more than Bradford Bulls, and the salary cap that they do spend is up there. So there's some major changes need to be made. I know there's changes coming in. Scott Taylor's joined the coaching staff for 2027. I think he's a great appointment. You know, he really cares about the club and has got a very, very in-depth knowledge of the game. When you speak to him, I really enjoy my conversations with Scott when we catch up. I think Danny Houghton should be given more of a role. I think he's still at the club now. And when I have an hour on the phone with Danny as well, you know, when you're genuinely talking to people that actually care about the club and care about the people at the club and the players, and want it to be done right. So, I hope 2027 is a better season for Hull FC.
Before we move on from that, the 2 shining lights for me, we'll end on a positive note. David Litton scored 2 tries, and Logan Moy. Yeah, I really like this guy as a young lad as a player, very elusive. I think if you could build on, obviously, when you get Will Price back, you've got Will Price, Logan Moy, David Litton. There is foundations there. It's just there needs to be a lot added to it. The coaching obviously needs to be.
What are them 2 players, Dan? They're local.
Yeah,
local players.
Yeah,
local players. The care.
Yeah.
I just think there's some players there that, if you're told by a club that you're not going to be kept at the end of the season, one, you need to be in the shop window and playing some good football. And I just don't see that. But Huddersfield, by the way, were decent again. They've won 2 straight. And what you can see with what Jim Lenihan's brought in is he's brought he's brought in a work ethic, getting the frame and getting bodies on balls, and the talentless requirements of the game. I think Huddersfield did far better than Hull FC. You talk about David Litton and shining light. There's noises again within the city that there's players there that are doing okay, that are happy
Yeah,
because of the standards and because of people that are taking the mickey out of the club that are higher earners.
yeah.
So yeah, it's just it's a poor environment at the minute, but I do believe it will change in 2027 with the new head coach, and I do believe that there's people in positions underneath him that care greatly about the club.
Yeah, we wait and see how it all unfolds next season. Let's move straight into one of three games that all I've got a bit of a gripe about this. Three games all kicking off on Friday night
Yes.
at the same time. It's no good for the fan. It's no good for the game, in my opinion. That needs to be sorted out. But we'll delve into that on another podcast. First game that we'll go through, one of three. Rhinos 46, Toulouse 0. Absolutely domination, one-sided game. Aletsky and McDonnell, again, the standouts for me. Obviously, the two Perth lads, they're going to be a big miss next year. And Jake Connor continues to be one of the best in-form halves in the competition. His form is through the roof. His team is sat at the top of the table, but there's still a lot of pushback from fans that say he shouldn't be in the 7 jersey for England.
Danny's got to go for me. He's
He
got
has
to
to.
go.
He has to.
And the suspension of Mikey Lewis means he's got to go before Mikey Lewis right now.
Yeah.
Because Mikey could come back and he could play three brilliant games and then get knocked out in round one of the playoffs and doesn't go to Leeds for
Yeah.
a semi-final. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden he's 2 weeks behind Jake Connor, who's got 2 more weeks of playing in big games. And I think he will go to the World Cup. I think Brian McDermott's already had a conversation with him. I think
I hope
he's
so.
been... Yeah, so I just think it's going to be really interesting with Jake Connor. But the Rhinos, just job done. Ollie Ashall missing is a huge miss for Toulouse. There's no
Yeah,
player
it
at the
is.
club that can replace him because of their
No.
squad depth.
Yeah.
So they were on a hiding to nothing. So yeah, job done for Leeds. Top of the table, still going on, and I still believe there's improvement in them.
Yeah, there is definitely. Move on to the game that you commentated on. Hull KR 40, Bradford Bulls 16. That's also the same. Hull KR's job done. They seem to be finding that momentum now. That they're starting to click a little bit finally. Willie Peters have been pulling his hair out all season, wondering where it's at. The one standout moment for me, and I would imagine you're going to go through it with me, is Tyrone May's solo effort. He's tried down the right side. I mean, there is an argument to say there's some weak defence in there. He should be put down on 2 or 3 occasions, but the grit, determination, and to go down that right side and get there, I thought it was sensational by Tyrone.
Yeah, I think I picked out Dave. I picked out Dean Hadley before the game as a player alongside Ryan Sutton as a head-to-head,
Yeah,
both unsung. There's a couple of occasions in games. I think Willie spoke about one of them afterwards where Jez overchases Jez Litton and Dean Hadley just cleans up on the inside. Mr.
yeah,
Clean up, fix it, Mr. Fix it. And
yeah,
I thought Dean was very good. Thank God for Jez Litton. I think Jez Litton holds everything together in the middle of the field. Minchella's been
yeah,
spelled. So they lose the captain and Jez becomes like the on-field captain for me,
yeah,
and holds it all together. I gave him player of the match. Thought Ryan Hampshire was good in the halves, but Mikey Lewis commands a position when he comes straight back. I think Hull KR have got a little lucky with the 4 games that Mikey Lewis is missing.
yeah,
Because I think if they play any other team other than Hull FC last week, they lose to Hull FC with the way they played. And then they played Bradford, and Bradford had to rejig because they lost a couple of players. Guy Armitage,
yeah,
Connor Wynn went off. They ended up playing Hooley on the wing. They played Fulton in the centre. They ended up rejigging the right edge, which got peppered a bit in the early second
yeah.
half. So I think they've got a
Well,
little lucky Hull KR
they
with who
just
they've played.
the reason I say they just seem to be building is because they're knocking off a few results, a few teams now. They've moved up to 5th in the table. They're only 2 points behind Warrington, and they've got that game in hand against Warrington. So if they can beat Warrington, because they've got a better points difference, they will go up to 4th spot, which is massive in a playoff term. It could change everything.
Well, there's some big psychological advantages to be had over the next few weeks. It starts
Yeah,
with Leeds Wakefield this week. There's a big game at the top of the table, but Hull KR Warrington's a big game in terms of if we meet in the playoffs later. I think Hull KR finish 4th. I think they'll finish 4th.
yeah,
I think Warrington will Lee will finish 5th and Warrington will finish 6th.
yeah, yeah. I agree
So
with that.
yeah, I just think I still think there's gears in Hulk. They may try, by the way. I apply, dancing feet. There's some 3 or 4 Bradford players that'd want to replay the play and try and make a tackle a
Yeah,
bit better to what they attempted. But
yeah,
brilliant try. Connor Wynn's try was another brilliant one. His catch, he sort of pirouettes 360 in the air and goes the distance.
yeah,
He gets caught by Ryan Hampshire, but he was always going to get rid of him with the pace Ryan was going at. He's strong, Connor. So a couple of really good tries in there. But as you said, job done for FC. But big mention for Bradford and Kurt Haggerty. I'm impressed by him. What one thing you know about his team is they're not going to give up. And as I said, when you watched Huddersfield and Hull FC, where they've waved the white flag, and Castleford at Magic Weekend to a
yeah.
degree, where Ryan Carr calls his team out, that's something Bradford can never be accused of, even though they're beaten by 40.
No, they can't. I mean, for Bradford, they go up against a Warrington Wolves team on Saturday, which obviously you're commentating on. Castleford take on Hull KR. So yeah, it's going to be tough for the Bulls going forward, but I think they've done very well this season. First season back in, thought Kurt's done an exceptional job. We'll move on to the other Friday night game, the final one, which was the derby. Lee Leopards 8, Wigan Warriors 20. Lee Leopards they started okay, started quite well, very good atmosphere, incredible atmosphere. But the Warriors was too good in the end, and they got caught napping on a few occasions. Lee, especially for the Jai Field full length try, he's bringing it back for a tap, and all the players are facing their own goalposts, and it's just a complete mess. And you could see Adrian Lamb was frothing at the mouth.
It changes Adrian Lamb's team talk, Dan.
Yeah,
because
it does,
at 8-0, they've been really good. They've defended really well. They give away a penalty for holding down. If it's a 10-metre penalty, the quick tap can't be taken by Jay Field.
Yeah.
He actually speaks to the referee. It's really smart play, and I think that is the big momentum change in the game. Then I've heard people say, the offload from the new signing from Melbourne, I forget his name.
Vialepu.
That's it. He makes an offload, but they've got to be in position. Wigan have got to be in defensive position to snaffle that up. And the other 2 tries where they're intercepts and they're picking up scraps, that's great defensive reads and plays. So I thought when I saw Pappy and Charlie missing again, that depth of squad at Lee is just not quite at the level of a Wigan or a Leeds or a Hull KR Wakefield, if you like. So you feared for them. I had them to lose by 2. When I saw the team selection, I thought maybe 10, 12, 14. It ended up 12. But you just fear for Lee a little bit when they're missing some big players. Tessie New's a big miss for them, obviously. He's out for the remainder of the season. But you wouldn't want to meet Lee in a playoff game because they can get it right. And if they do get it right, they beat teams comfortably. But well done to Wigan. I thought it was a big result for them.
I've mentioned it a few times, and Lachlan Lamb is a sensational quality halfback, and Amila Hanley. I think he's pushing for one of them spots as also at England. I think he's had a incredible season, and I still think they could cause an upset in the playoffs. I don't think they'll make Old Trafford this year. I think they're just lacking, like you said, that 2 or 3 players that they need in the squad.
Well, all that are injured, Dan. Or testing you, the missed testing you. His physicality, So,
massive.
The other one that's interesting with Lachlan Lamb is, mate, if I'm Willie Peters, I'm trying my best to get him over. If I don't get Cam Munster, then I go for Lachlan Lamb.
Yeah,
he's a PNG international. I know Lee won't want to hear that, but listen, it's a ruthless game.
It is. Move on to Saturday's games. Castleford Tigers 18, Warrington Wolves 48. Castleford in the first 25 minutes, it obviously looked a blowout. It was a blowout in the end. Castleford in the first 25 minutes, 16-4 up. And then I think it's the same again what I mentioned before with another game where they just didn't have that belief. It's like, oh my God, we're 16-4 up, kind of got a nosebleed. And then, like you said, they go into the cells, go into their own shell. And Warrington just made them pay. I thought Matty Ashton phenomenal performance. Ewan Irwin again, and Sipley. He's a beast.
Yeah, he was
Sipley.
Good.
He's a good player. That try he scored under the post. Cass waiting for 2027. Another one you would tick off.
There's a lot of cast players that are there that have been labelled, individual problems, individual issues, same common denominators is what's been mentioned in the press. Again, if that's you, do you go in and speak to the coach and say, if you're speaking about me, what can we do to fix it? Can you help me, coach? Or has he got to the end of his tether? It sounds like he's got to the end of his patience with lots of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, at 16-4, I thought, and I actually had Cass to win. I thought Cass would get a job done because Warrington have struggled away from home a little bit. But well done to Sam's team and well done to Sam and his staff, and particularly the players that were brilliant from 16-4 onwards.
Yeah,
some really soft, and I think that's what Ryan's talking about, some soft individual errors for tries.
Yeah.
Marker play. I think I said it was Louis Senior. It wasn't. It was Mellor at marker who just over chases. Ball back on the inside to Ashton, back to Toby King. Sipley, there's 3 or 4 players around him. That's a really soft try. The first try where PLT, he's got to grab on Holroyd. There's 2 sides to the game, son. You've got to make a tackle.
That's what I was going to say to you about PLT, Phoenix Lalu Tonga guy. His attack, it's unquestionable. He's very silky. He's got pace. He's got a step. He can score a try, but his defense is so weak.
A major part of a fullback is saving tries now.
Yeah,
wingers saving tries now.
Do you think
in corners?
Do you think that's what could cost him his space in 27?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Leon Hayes chips over him. I spoke about Sean Briscoe earlier in the podcast. You've got to put your head where it hurts and get rid of that football, son.
Yeah.
Listen, Cass are waiting for 2027. There's some fight in the Malian games, but when it goes against them, it spirals, and there's no way of changing momentum for them. But well done to Warrington. Yeah, well done to Warrington indeed. Next one. I would say it's a shock, but I don't think it was a shock. The way that the club is the circus at the moment. York Knights 34, Saints 32. Paul Vaughan with a monstrous performance. Thought he was exceptional off the bench. Benison and Scott Galliano, outside backs, played very well. Obviously, John Benison being an ex-Saints lad. And Xavier Varr, a great pickup from the Roosters. His brother's still there now at the Roosters, so it wouldn't surprise me if they make a play at him as well. But I just think Mark Applegarth has got this team a bit like Kurt Haggerty has with the Bradford Bulls. He's got them believing, he's got them wanting to play for the shirt, and that is a massive scalp. Just like they got Hull KR at the start of the season, this is another big scalp for Mark Applegarth's men, isn't it? Yeah, I had York. I tipped York. I feel Saints are in a world of pain, and it's so difficult to turn that around. The fractures within the club, but that's take nothing away from York. For Ollie Field was great on the left edge with Nick Williams. They're a team that just quietly go about the business. York, they've lost quite a number of games straight. No noises coming out of the club other than the chairman and other than the director Clint leaving and the chairman at the club at the minute. We're probably going to be leaving the club completely. From what I'm told. So, big performance. Saints look back to somewhat with football in hand, scored some nice tries.
Harry Robertson, he's vital for the Saints to keep hold of him. I mean, if any more noise, the way the club is now, when we spoke about Wellesby with obviously potentially being unhappy.
Is Robertson to Wakefield, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think his head could be turned, and you never thought you would have said that a few years ago. No disrespect, but you would have always thought that Saints have that hierarchy, but the way that the club is now, the way it's being run, the hands it's in, that there's every chance that move can come off because Matt Ellis will pursue him. There's no doubt about that.
Not only that, but like I said about Wellesby, when the club's not making the 6 and Wakefield could be sat second and going to Old Trafford.
You
go into a club which is on the up and which is playing better rugby league, not better games of rugby league in playoff games and Challenge Cup ties, because Saints just look a million miles off. And I mentioned it on the podcast yesterday. I mentioned the week before it was a shame, and somebody put, it's not a shame. Nobody cares about St Helens. Nobody cares if they're not going well. Their fans are the only people that care, and the people within the organisation. But there's nobody else should be caring about what St Helens are going through, or not trying to pick off their best players because they're a higher club right now. And who would have said that 2 years ago when Wakefield were in the Championship, that they could have a chance of taking a Harry Robertson off them?
Exactly.
Maybe they haven't. Maybe they haven't done it. Maybe it's a pipe dream, but it's a pipe dream that Matt Ellis is determined to pursue.
I was going to say there's never smoke without fire. But in terms of St Helens, they drop out the six. Well, they're already out the six, but it confirmed that they're out the six. And I don't think I'm with you. I do not see them with the fixtures they've got left. Yeah, they've got Hull FC this week at home. They may
win this week.
Get across. Yeah. But yeah, in terms of York, they travel away to Lee Leopards. Very difficult game for them this week. But can't take anything away. I think, like I said, I think Mark Applegarth's done a fantastic job. York Knights should be proud of what they've done this week.
Couldn't agree more, Dan.
The final game of round 21, Catalan Dragons 12, Wakefield Trinity 32. I thought it was an even contest for the first hour, but some of the performances from the Trinity pack, Vanganar, Hamlin Ueli off the bench was fantastic. And obviously Cam Scott got a double. Back up to second place for the Catalan Dragons, barring the two halves, Dodden and Sexton. I think they struggled in this one. I thought they may have backed up with a decent performance after the victory over Toulouse last week. But yeah, Trinity, job done, as you would normally say, for them as well.
I thought it was a potential banana skin for them as well, to be fair, Dan.
Yeah.
I thought, Catalan's not easy to go over there and win. You've got all of the change of the travel, the hotel, the food, the later kick-off. Well done to Wakefield again. I think John Cartwright's comments were interesting. He wants to know if a couple of players are staying or not, so he can start rebuilding for 2027. So that's an interesting one. There's a couple of players obviously not committed, or have probably got deals elsewhere that they're thinking about signing, or have even signed them. So I think over the next month you'll find out what Catalan is going to be looking like in 2027. But their season's done. Wakefield up to second again, as you said. Job well done. Well done to Darryl and his team and staff. And their big game is this week against the Leeds Rhinos at home, who they beat in the Challenge Cup in the last knockout game. In the quarterfinal.
Couldn't agree more. In closing, I've got a couple of questions for you, as I always do at the end of every podcast. Who currently is your head coach of the year in Super League after round 21?
Brad Arthur. Sat top of the table. Honourable mentions for the three promoted teams in Sylvan Hull, Mark Applegarth and Kurt Haggerty.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can look past what Leeds Rhinos have done. There was there or thereabouts last year. Lost last play of the game to St Helens in the playoffs. A disappointing Challenge Cup round 4 loss, 5 loss to Wakefield this year. But I think they're on the cusp of something. They could very much end up at Old Trafford with either Wakefield or Wigan or any other team. But you can certainly see that there's been massive improvement in Leeds Rhinos.
Final question then. Who is your current leading man of steel?
Oh, geez, that is a tough one. That is a really tough one.
I'll start you off. I've gone for Jake Connor, top of the charts.
You can't see past Jake Connor, can you? Do you know who's really, really impressed me this year? Ash Hanley.
Yeah.
Ash Hanley moving into, he's playing centre. He's put tries on a plate for Sevo, but you can't look past Jake Connor and his performances.
No, you can't.
He's been very good. There's another one up there. Brad O'Neill's up there. Brad O'Neill's been very, very good.
Yeah.
Brad O'Neill and Jake Truman's been good at Wakefield. I think he's been really good. So some big players. Farteely's been good at Wakefield off the bench. Their bench has been good. Ueli and him, Hamlin, Ueli and Farteely. There's been some great individuals. But you look at Jake Connor and he just looks on top of his game right now.
He does. Well, that wraps it up for this week's podcast. Thank you as usual, Paul. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining me. And as I always say, if you're free next week, we go again.
Absolutely.
Thank you for all watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to like, subscribe, and comment. And until next week, goodbye from me and Paul. If you enjoyed this segment, the full 90-minute podcast with all 5 segments is linked below, where we discuss the latest Super League and NRL news and results, plus the bonus segment of Question Cookie each week. Don't forget to subscribe, click the bell icon to be notified of all future content uploaded by NRL Insight UK. Thank you for your continued support, and see you on the next one.